Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to How Small Firms Can Compete in 2025, Tips and Trends in Digital Marketing. My name is Ryan Dahlen, and I am the Director of Operations at JurisPage, a digital marketing agency for lawyers and law firms, specialize in PPC, SEO, a law firm website, the JurisPage platform. Check it out over at jurispage.io. A little bit on background rather for me. I'm the director of operations. I'm a recovering attorney with 12 years of digital marketing experience. The lion's share of that working with small law firms and solo practitioners like yourselves. I'm committed to helping you and those like you deliver a predictable return on investment, despite the best efforts of large publicly traded search monopolists and other ad monopolists out there in the world. My number one goal is to ensure that my clients are able to generate the leads that they need to achieve their business objectives. The big question that I want to help answer today is how can small local law firms with comparatively small budgets organize, prioritize, and execute their digital marketing plans to full effect? Here's our agenda. First, we're going to talk about marketing planning, basics, and then a hypothetical, followed by current trends in digital marketing channels such as SEO and PPC, but also we will delve into some emerging channels. Then, to wrap up, we'll talk about how you can build a strong foundation, small firm challenges, as well as super efficient marketing mix. What is going to work best for you? How to identify that and how to prioritize. And finally, a little bit of Q&A at the end. All right, let's get started. So, part one, marketing planning. We'll do some initial concepts and then we'll talk a hypothetical, as I mentioned. So, marketing planning requires that you have the right framework, the right mental framework for thinking about marketing. It's not just about clicks or traffic or rankings or leads or those related but unimportant, frankly, in isolation numbers. What we're really talking about is focusing on the actual revenue generated from the cases that you generate via marketing. You need to know your financial goals ahead of time so that you can bring the resources to bear that are required to meet your overall business objectives. So with that in mind, here are the prerequisites for developing a marketing plan. Number one, how much money do you need to make to meet your goals for the year? That's step one. You need to understand exactly what it will take. What do you need to bring in the door to call this year a success, whatever success means to you? Number two, how much do I make per case? How much revenue do I generate? What's my gross per case? How much does it cost to generate one case? So we not only need to know how much we make per case, but how much does it cost us via a variety of marketing channels to generate these leads and cases? And finally, how many cases can I handle, right? So obviously numbers 2 through 4 are very much interrelated. And they all ladder back up to number 1, which is, have you met your goal, your revenue goal for the year? Okay, so I promised a hypothetical, and here it is. For starters, let's say that we'll say me. I am a criminal defense attorney in Minneapolis, and I know that for my business to be successful, I need to generate 10 DWI cases per month, criminal defense. So in order to start our marketing planning, what we need to do is figure out how much it costs to generate cases from Google Ads for DWI. And we have to back all the way out, because nobody has that specific metric, to what it costs to generate a click. because that is the highest level metric we can get from Google, is the cost per click. So I'm going to take us on a side mission here into Google Ads and take a look at the keyword planner. Anybody can set up a Google Ads account. It's free, no obligation to buy. You might need to enter a credit card to use the keyword planner because you'll have to set up a campaign, but you don't need to spend $1. Now, here is where we get our data from. In the left sidebar, you'll see tools and then keyword planner. So click in there. And what we want to do first and foremost is discover new keywords. Okay, so here we are. I have a pretty straightforward business model. I do not do assault cases. I do not do homicide. I don't do domestic violence. All I do are DWI cases, and I do them extremely well. So let's keep it simple. Enter products or services that are closely related to your business. How about DWI lawyer? There we are. Now, I want you to notice a couple things here. First, English is default language. We have additional targeting options below the practice area or the products and service area here. The first is English as a default language. We're not going to mess with that. The second is geo-targeting. Now, this is very important. As we discussed, I'm a Minneapolis lawyer. Right now, this is targeting the entire United States. We will burn through that ad spend in about 15 minutes, and I will get probably close to 0 that are anywhere near my location. If I'm only licensed to practice in Minnesota, probably won't get any cases that I can actually try. So let's adjust that targeting. United States, country. Let's draw it back a bit. And let's look at Minneapolis. So what's interesting here is that we have the city of Minneapolis with a reach of 4.1 million. And then we also have the Minneapolis-St. Paul DMA region, which is the Nielsen media region. We also have Hennepin County and Ramsey County. So the Nielsen DMA region reaches over into Wisconsin, goes down to the Iowa border, over to the Dakotas, and almost up to Canada. I think that's a little bit too broad. So instead, let's say Hennepin County, which is the county where Minneapolis is located, and Ramsey County, which is where the twin city of St. Paul is located. And we'll use that to be our geographical targeting area. So now we are going to click Get Results. And here we see a lot of options, a lot of fluff, but this is the line we're interested in. I'm going to go ahead and annotate to draw your attention to the cost and other data for the search DWI lawyer in Google Ads. Okay, so first things first, we can just ignore basically all of this. Average monthly searches, don't need them. We're a DWI lawyer. We know that people get DWIs and that they require a criminal defense attorney to represent them in court. We know this. We don't care about volume. We care about 3-month change or year over year. We don't even care about competition. We don't care about ad impression checks. We're not running ads yet. Now, the part we do care about, top of page bid, low range. This means that there is a range of $23 to $89 in the next column for the cost of a click, or the cost of a click at the top of the page. On the low end, it's going to be $23, which might be at 5:30 a.m. on a Sunday. We're not interested in that. We're big game hunting here. We want the #1 position, and we're willing to pay up for it. So we want the top of page bid, high range as our cost per click. $89.33 is that number. or $89. So we've got what we need from Google Ads. We are going to switch back over to our hypothetical. Okay, so let's talk about the math of cost per lead. We now know the top of page cost per click is $89. But what we don't know is what percentage of clicks call or fill out a form. That's called their conversion. And then once we have those conversions, once we have those leads, what percentage of them qualify? Qualifying in this sense, typically for us, would mean they're looking for the services of the attorney in the geographical location where the attorney can serve them. Stock yardages. Typically, we're going to say that you're going to see a conversion rate of around 10 to 20%. So between 1 and 2 out of 10 are actually going to fill out a form and give you a call. Then 30% of those are actually going to qualify, looking for what you do, where you do it. That it might be a little low, but we always want to be conservative so that we know that it's better to be conservative than too liberal with these numbers, because you don't want to go in expecting to spend $1,000, not getting any impressions or clicks, burning every penny, and not even having your impressions at the top of the page. I digress. We're going to go with 10 to 20% conversion rate, 30% qualification rate. So the cost per lead range on the low end is going to be 89 times 5, which is 20% of 100. So the higher conversion rate means the lower cost per lead. And then you multiply that by 0.3, which is 30% of those being qualified. And then we do the same on the high end, which is 10% conversion rate. We get $133.50 to $267 cost per lead, cost per qualified lead. Now, let's continue the math. We got to move from cost per lead to cost per case. We need to know how much it costs to generate a case. So the cost per case range is going to be the cost per lead range, which is $133.50 to $267, divided by the close rate. The close rate is how many qualified leads it takes to get one case. Okay. Stock yardage here. For criminal defense cases, from our experience, the close rate on qualified leads is about 50%, 50 to 60%. So 1 out of 2. So your cost per case is going to be $133.50 divided by 0.5 to $267 divided by 0.5, which is $267 to $534 cost per case. That's your expected cost per case. Multiply that by the 10 cases we need. You're looking at $26.70 to $53.40 in ad spend per month. Asterisk. Why? You got to include your overhead here, your agency or your in-house team. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have a professional managing your PPC spend. Things like account setup, bid strategy and targeting, copywriting, and landing page optimization. If you don't do those, then the numbers that I showed on the previous pages don't mean anything, because you're likely going to be burning a lot of spend on irrelevant traffic, crappy leads, all of the above. You need to have either an agency or an in-house team. Am I biased? Yes. But I have a lot of experience here, and I can tell you this stuff is hard. So this is what PPC specialists are experts in. What are you expert in? Legal research and writing, motion practice and legal procedure, arguing. Admirable traits, admirable skills. None of those is going to help you set up, optimize, or configure bid strategies for a PPC campaign. So now that we've gotten there, we know what we need in order to compete. You got to be able to answer these questions before you commit to spending on marketing, right? So 1, what is my revenue goal? 2, what does it cost to generate a lead? 3, and this is important and we didn't really get into it, but are my leads turning into cases? That's incredibly important. If you are finding that you are generating a ton of leads and you're not converting them to cases, there is an issue that needs to be dealt with there. Nothing makes me angrier than when a specialist says, we haven't generated any leads that have turned into cases for this client, but they've got a great cost per lead. It's meaningless. That's a vanity metric when you're not generating any cases. So if you are seeing a ton of leads, or if you're hearing from your PPC specialist or PPC agency that you got a great CPL, there's a disconnect there. And if they're not going to be proactive about it, you should be proactive, get them on the phone and explain to them that the most important thing is signing cases and that you need help figuring out where in the funnel things are going wrong. Finally, the last thing we need to know, how much does it cost to generate a case? Oh, and by the way, you have to answer the last 3 questions here for every marketing channel that you're going to spend in. PPC, SEO, YouTube, Facebook, Reddit, whatever it is. You need to have these answers so that you can plan, so that you understand your success metrics, and you have a pretty solid grounding in what it takes to succeed. And as we'll discuss later, whether it's an area where you even want to push spend. I don't want to spoil, so we'll leave it at that for now. So let's take a look at digital marketing trends for the coming year. Our next section here. Spoiler, it's going to be about Google, AI, and about Google and AI. A couple other things in here as well, a couple other nuggets. But starting out, let's take from the top macro digital marketing trends of 2025. Google search is going to continue to live on shaky ground as the machine learning underpinning those systems continues to learn. And what I mean by that is, as you all know, any one of you that has an SEO agency working for you or that keeps track of your rankings for traffic or leads, there's been a lot of fluctuation this past year, and that is largely down to the integration of core algorithm updates, the main feature of which are machine learning algorithms that attempt to provide the best responses. There are other things that Google has done, like its partnership with Reddit, which has taken over search results pages, which have overall decreased the quality of the results, I think it's fair to say. But this is going to be the big trend, right? Is how Google continues to adapt its machine learning to support search, which is its largest business. ChatGPT, Perplexity, other new entrants into the search engine market are going to start making up ground. They're going to start taking a little bit more market share. Agents. Some of you may have heard some rumblings about these little pieces of software are AI features that are going to be able to execute tasks rather than just provide information, rather than just explain how to do something. It's actually going to go out there, take control of your computer, take control of your accounts, Skynet you into things like, at first, dinner reservations, concert tickets, etc. You can go check out openai.com. They have a pretty cool video that demonstrates their AI agent. And paid ads, I think this is the one that's going to probably have the biggest impact on the audience we have here today. Paid ads, especially Google AdWords, are going to continue to broaden their match types to capture more spend from the advertisers, all while relying more heavily on AI and Gen AI and machine learning algorithms to make the process more opaque. They'll tell you that it makes it easier, but what they're really doing is reducing the visibility into how ads are targeted and how things are spent, which increases your cost per lead. All while tracking gets worse. Finally, influencers, people with authentic ties to a product or service, they're going to become increasingly valuable. If you can't rely on Google, which is the modern iteration of the phone book, to deliver you leads anymore, you need to get your brand and your services in front of somebody else's audience. And that's going to become increasingly valuable. All right. Current state of play in organic search. Look, it's going to be Google versus OpenAI in the short term. In the long term, it's going to be traditional search engines versus these upstarts, and how well traditional search engines can incorporate generative AI responses into their search engine results pages. Let's be real though. And I guess taking a look back, this is an overview of the traditional search engine market share from 2009 to 2024. Google is the blue line. Everything else is at the bottom. It is exceedingly unlikely that in 2025, 2026, or 2027, you are going to see a meaningful decrease in Google's overall search share. Now, you can kind of see here at the end, from November to December of 2024, it appears to take a hit. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're planning for the future and talking about trends in 2025. Google's not going anywhere. So let's talk about how much search market share could LLM tools eventually get. This is from a study that Rand Fishkin at SparkToro did along with Datos and SimilarWeb, relying on some SimilarWeb data, looking at cross-platform share of search, and this is from October of 2024. So what we're doing here is basically saying that given everything in the best possible light, favoring LLMs like ChatGPT, Perplexity's listed over there, and others, where is the traffic coming from? Where is the search occurring? And this is kind of biased towards the LLMs. As Rand will admit, you can find this post on LinkedIn. It's biased towards LLMs because it qualifies every prompt entered into ChatGPT, into Perplexity, into Claude as a search. And we know that that's not always the case. So even in the most favorable light, given what we know about traffic sources, and everything else that SimilarWeb collects across the web, the internet, ChatGPT at most is contributing 4.33% of web search volume. That's not a lot. Google, 83.5. Again, the change is coming, but we don't know who the winner is going to be. And we certainly don't know that we can say that, Bing with ChatGPT and ChatGPT on its own are going to be the ultimate winners. Remember, Google has a Gen AI of its own, Gemini, which isn't that great. But for some tasks, it is improving. And that's one man's opinion. Okay, so now let's take a look at kind of a local business head-to-head here. We are going to compare the Google search engine versus ChatGPT in local business searches, because that's what you all do, right? So here is google.com. We'll stay signed up. I'm going to look for, I need days, and we're going to use conversational search. So it's kind of like a one-to-one type thing. I need a lawyer for a car accident injury in Closed. Okay. We're not going to use the precise location, but here is the SERP that we all know and love, right? Up top. And by the way, I'm in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Any appearance by any law firm on this call or who you know is not an endorsement, it's simply a Google search results page. So up here, we have our LSA packet. If you don't know about LSAs, contact me after the webinar and we will talk. But they're an extremely effective tool for getting local leads. We then have our traditional PPC result right here. We'll see how many there are. Scrolling down a little bit more, but just one paid result there. And then we have our tried and true organic results. Okay, so for a local search, I would say that that's pretty good representation. What you're looking for here is essentially a list, right? You obviously didn't have a name. Your intent was to generate a list of attorneys who practice in the area that you need that to. And Google has provided just that, and as only Google can. So ChatGPT, let's take a look here. First of all, we're going to turn on our web search. And since I'm not I know that Google knows where I am, but I'm not 100% sure that ChatGPT does. So I'm going to give it a little bit of an edge here. Now let's take a look at what it returns. Okay. So now this is pretty interesting. So what we have here is essentially a list without ads, right? This is the Eden Prairie, Minnesota results that it has presented me with. We also have some others here. And what's interesting is that, yes, you get the list, but you also get the sources. So we can go over here and, this is obviously a firm website. Then it's a Find Law directory link. Another firm site, law info. So it's a mix of directories and firm sites. So we have more to choose from here. Let's alter the query slightly. I need the best lawyer. Okay, so LSAs have disappeared. We have more sponsored ads, more traditional PPC. And then, this is great because, as you know, you cannot call yourself the best injury attorney in Minnesota or in East Prairie, but super lawyers sure can, and they do, and they get the #1 result because of it. So that's the Google result. Let's take a look at ChatGPT. Oops. Okay. Now, notice that who are the best car accident lawyers has changed the sources site slightly. We have expertise.com, law info. There are a couple local sites, and then there's Yelp for reviews. So when you add that qualifier, it does change the result. Now, let's go over here, and I want to quickly start, try and provoke this into doing a different kind of result. Okay, so we altered the query slightly, and we are now getting a map pack result, just like we would in Google local listings, right? So let's go over here and simplify this. And here is our local pack, right? This is our organic local listings. Schwabel gets it. Stephen, Fade and Associates, TSR, from those in the Minneapolis area. Those are all, they got billboards, they got it all. Here, over on the ChatGPT results, let's take a look at the sources. Schwabel gets and Sieben, expertise.com, Sieben Carey. So they actually do provide a comparative experience to Google Maps. The upshot here is that ChatGPT is starting to catch up, and actually, sorry, Search GPT is starting to catch up with Google in terms of the search features that it provides. Heading back to our local business head-to-head here, this is my take on where we stand in the search landscape. We've got our query intent. This is the matrix here. Query intent: informational, commercial, transactional, navigational. ChatGPT and Gen AI will provide you with answers that you need to informational queries without having to sift through a bunch of junk, without having to look at an AI overview, then some ads, then a bunch of lawyer blog posts. ChatGPT, in my view, is the better choice there. You're going to get your answer in a shorter amount of time and with less distraction and less fluff. Now, for commercial and transactional intent, meaning you have broad commercial intent, you're looking at the market because you potentially want to hire an attorney, or transactional intent, meaning like, altering our example here, I'm in jail, I need a lawyer right now. The phone book, Google is the way to go. You're going to get the best results and be able to choose from a menu of options. Although, as we saw, ChatGPT is getting there. Although its list and how it builds those lists is potentially suspect. And finally, for navigational intent, which is just the fourth kind of intent, Google's going to be better at that. What you're doing when you're looking for navigational intent is I've heard about your firm. Now I want to go and I want to validate some things. So I go to Google, I Google your name, your website comes up, I go take a look. ChatGPT is going to provide a summary of the website. I want to see what you have to say about yourself rather than what ChatGPT pulled from a bunch of sources. So that's going to be my pick. So that's ultimately the verdict. OpenAI, ChatGPT, it's getting there, but not in 2025. Okay, back to our trends report. AI agents. These are the types of technology that can actually do things rather than just tell you how to do things. It's going to be significant going forward from your perspective for things like lead vetting, call intake, form fill intake, migrating contacts into your CRM and evaluating cases there. Even things like assessing case value based on questionnaires and questions that it answers via an AI-powered chatbot. That's the future. However, right now, these things are going to come out fast and furious this year, just like everybody and their mom has to be selling AI, or the shareholders are going to be very upset. But here's a list of 3 agents that we can expect to be launched in 2025 with broadly, Oracle, I guess, is highly specialized, focused on sales. And then you have the two main competitors here, which is going to be Google's Gemini model on Samsung hardware, and then OpenAI's Operator, which is going to be presumably available through Microsoft products and whenever other partnerships Sam Altman can come up with. Google Ads, the match types in Google Ads, meaning the keyword that you choose to bid on, they're now much broader, and they're showing search terms against some questionable results. The upshot here is that other people are spending a lot of money on Google Ads, and all of a sudden, because Google has moved the goalposts or widened the goalposts in terms of targeting, is that you're getting a flood of spend that comes into niche keywords that your firm may be targeting in your area. Exacerbating that, tracking has gotten substantially worse, not only in terms of platform with GA4, but also for ads and market data and everything in particular, because of things like ad blockers, browser security, and also privacy regulations. GDPR isn't something that we necessarily need to worry about in the local US law firm marketing area, but certainly CPRA, which is a California privacy regulation, some other state regulations. I know, I think Colorado and Virginia have rolled them out. Other states will be soon. These are going to have a real impact on how data is collected and how we as marketers are able to help you as small business owners leverage that data to your benefit. So, bye-bye. All right. So really to further illustrate the point, back in the old times, broad phrase, exact match gave you control. Targeting bids, appearance of your ads gave you control. There were no really black box algorithms to manage. It was like, all right, well, here's your ad. You want to get to the top of the thing. You pay the most money. We're good. It's not like that anymore. In addition, if we're talking about analytics, there was a highly intuitive, Universal Analytics was a highly intuitive, easy to learn platform, easy to configure. It provided reliable and easily accessible data and reporting, and tracking was consistent. It was available everywhere. There were no cookie blockers. There were no cookie regulations. Ad blockers were few and far between. It was much easier to craft a holistic, extremely creepy picture of people who are looking for your products and services. In terms of what we've got now, for Google Ads, exact match is now phrase match is now broad match, and broad match is now the kitchen sink. GA4, on the other hand, is the opposite in literally every single way. It is not intuitive. It's not easy to learn. It is the very definition of kind of a product that's been released in beta, meaning that there are still numerous issues that have been there since launch. Some things that they try to make better, but those things that they try to make better, they, in this humble webinar host's opinion, are actually making worse. Finally, sample data, meaning that you can't, even for sites that get small amounts of traffic and not too many conversions, you're still seeing sampled results rather than actual data on the number of users that are visiting your website and what they're doing while they're there, which leads to unreliable tracking because Google continues to change how events are reported, what the events mean, the names of events, you name it. And of course, the UI is baffling, to say the least. None of you are necessarily going to be analytics pros. None of you are probably Google Ads pros, but I just wanted to lay out for you kind of the difference between what we were doing previously and what we're seeing now. And It's all the more reason why, again, you should really have a professional running your Google ads. Okay. This young woman is an AI generated Gen Z influencer with the ring light and the dubiously constructed camera. What we think of when we see an influencer like this is lack of authenticity. We think of superficiality, people with short attention spans, TikToks, 6-second videos on Snapchat, all that stuff. And then we also completely align it with our views of social media. When I talk about influencers for your business as attorneys, that's not what I'm talking about. What I want to look at are these fine people that were also generated by AI. I want to talk about people who are in your local market, who have a strong presence in your city, in your region. They have an audience that aligns with your products or services, and they can be trusted. They are trusted by their audience, and they engage with their audience. They are a personality. They have followers. These micro influencers often have that higher engagement and trust. And here are 3 examples. A personal trainer you could engage to talk about injury recovery to align with personal injury law, a divorce coach or therapist that aligns with family law services, a real estate agent discussing business law or estate planning. These are the kinds of things that you need to be looking out for. And what we're essentially trying to do is find different audiences where we can share our brand, share our services, and get our name out amongst the broader public in ways that are not as sort of cold and remote as the Yellow Pages / Google. Okay, so how does all this impact you in 2025? Increased competition from Gen AI means that web optimization extends beyond Google. In fact, it extends beyond search. As Gen AI search improves, identifying what factors are going to be involved in your brand or your business showing up in those Gen AI results is going to be key, and it's going to embed with traditional SEO. AI agents are going to hit the market hard this year, but they're not ready for prime time, so don't waste your time. Digital advertising trends, again, cost per lead is going to go up as targeting apertures are forced wider. Bad news. Finally, as an alternative to all of the traditional Google ads and Google SEO hullabaloo, get your brand, get your services out there. Find people who have audiences that are interested in what you do and engage with them to help share your message. And for our last section today, we'll talk about how to lay the foundation for a small law firm in digital marketing in 2025, focusing on where you can win. First and foremost, we need to talk about the website. In the analogy of marketing or digital marketing as being a machine that delivers revenue opportunity to your business, the website is the engine, right? Traffic and leads, or traffic gets fed in. The website converts that traffic into leads, and the output are revenue opportunities for you and your staff to turn into signed cases. So is your website a brochure or a lead gen machine? And there are use cases for both, and it should be both. So first off, show and tell who you are, what you do, who you do it for. These are critical communications pieces for marketing. They're the basics, right? What are you selling and who are you selling it to? And in order for any site to be effective, it needs to have that sort of level of basic communication, making sure that the prospect knows what you do and that you can help them with their problem. Now, the machine side of it, again, SEO, PPC, your other marketing channels, they provide the fuel. The website is the engine, and the output are those revenue opportunities. The key elements that we want to focus on when we talk about making sure that the website can serve both purposes we want to have that social proof there. Verdicts, judgments, reviews, and testimonials are huge, both for people who are validating what they've heard elsewhere about your services and for net new folks who come in looking for a generic personal injury attorney or criminal defense attorney, et cetera. You also want to look and feel that aligns with your brand. Someone who practices collaborative divorce mediation, ADR, something like that, is going to have a much different look and feel to the website than someone who practices DUI, DWI defense. There's a need to create urgency with DWI. That person has either recently been released from jail or is perhaps in a holding cell with their phone trying to research attorneys. Somebody who is looking at, for example, divorce mediation, it's a little bit of a longer road, or estate planning, things like that. The messages that you want to send visually are going to be different. No matter what look and feel, the big piece that you need is for the website to be conversion optimized. And what that means is that we want to eliminate friction in terms of people calling or contacting your firm. We want to have phone numbers prominently displayed everywhere. You want to have contact forms available and access to those forms easily. I personally don't like the ubiquitous pop-up chat widgets that are on a lot of law firm websites. I think that it clutters things up and makes it difficult, particularly on mobile, to maneuver around the site. So that to me adds friction as opposed to reducing it. But maybe there's data that shows the opposite. Either way, what we're really after, right, in terms of conversion optimization is reducing the friction experienced by people who are visiting your site where they're trying to contact you. Okay. The second big piece of the foundation is ensuring that you're making the most of your home field advantage. Law firms, small law firms like yours, are local businesses. The thing that you must remember is, and that we talked about a little bit earlier, Google is still going to be the go-to discovery engine for local businesses. I don't care if you are selling pancakes, produce, or air purifiers. If it's somebody looking for a local business that can help them out, Google's the place that they're going to look. Next up is LSAs. LSAs can be an effective way to generate leads for supported practice areas, but they don't niche down quite as well as generic PPC. And what I mean by that is for example, estate planning attorneys or estate litigation attorneys. If you use LSAs, the platform is not going to make the distinction between estate planning and estate litigation. You're going to get a lot of the wrong kinds of cases. And Google is going to call those qualified leads, and you're going to get billed for them. So if you are in a supported practice area, there are a lot of benefits. You get the top real estate. You can see in the graphic to the right here, you're at the very top of the page. And not only that, and this works kind of well, which is a little bit freaky for Google, at least for the time being. If the lead isn't qualified, meaning if it is a lead unrelated to your practice area or not in your service area, you won't be billed for it. And Google will just refund you automatically, and you don't really have to worry about it. So that's kind of nice. Another piece of home field advantage, it takes, on the SEO side, and I should have specified this in the bullet, but it takes less investment in content and in backlinks, or in content and domain authority, to rank in local results. Meaning that if you optimize your Google business profile and create some strong local signals, you can still rank in local SEO because it's a separate algorithm than or the typical organic results. Finally, the big part here, and we know this from feedback from clients over many years, is that leads from local SEO are typically much higher quality than leads from other sources. So again, make sure that you're making the most of your home field advantage. Make sure you're performing well close to your home base. I included this slide because Well, for a number of reasons. Going back to the previous slide, these are the highest quality leads that many of our clients get from SEO. And these are optimizations that are all typically off of your website, other than making sure that your name, address, and phone number on the website are correct. A lot of these things for these ranking factors are influenced by exterior sort of signals. So Google Business Profile, exterior. Make sure that it's optimized. Work with someone who can help you optimize. Proximity to searcher, local SEO is great because for local searches, it's going to give priority to those businesses that are in the area. Local citations and NAP consistency. Local directory listings are really going to help you out here. The biggest one that you could possibly spend time and effort on is reviews and ratings. You want the highest possible reviews, scores, and ratings across platforms. You want to make sure that you're soliciting reviews and responding to reviews, as those are not only huge signals for local SEO, but they actually help with LSA visibility as well. Pro tip. So in 2025, things to keep doing. Ensure that your content is current with respect to form and substance. Content is still king. Google ranks web pages. So make sure that you are still updating content, ensuring that it looks the way that it should in 2025 and that it's easily digestible. Seek out backlinks from reputable, relevant websites. Backlinks are still a thing. You still have to go out and find them or hire someone to do it for you. Balancing the cost of SEO and PPC to maximize the number of qualified leads. There is a very sophisticated way to do this. I recommend that you contact JurisPage to learn more. And finally, publish content to relevant social media. If you have a social media page, you might as well use it. Reproduce your content, show it out to the different audience. Search and social media are going to be two vastly different audiences. If it makes sense for you to post to Facebook, why not? So what to start doing? Redesign or rework your website to reduce friction in the conversion process. That should be number one. Frankly, you might need some outside help with this unless you have some secret design chops, but it's going to be the single best decision because you're going to make the most of the traffic that you do get to the website. Second, investigate whether LSAs, less flexibility of targeting, better position, or traditional PPC, just all around better targeting, make more sense for your business. Solicit reviews, respond to reviews, incorporate reviews into your website. And finally, measure the success of all your efforts, old and new, to determine what your cost per case is for each channel that you're going to invest in. The takeaway, leverage that data, leverage the information that you gather over the course of the year to drive your strategy for next year. Summing it up, the big question was, how can small local law firms with comparatively small budgets organize, prioritize, and execute their digital marketing plans to full effect? And the answer in 3 parts. 1, develop a marketing plan. 2, stay focused on what works now. Don't chase the shiny thing. And 3, prioritize those channels where you have one or can win. On behalf of JurisPage, thank you very much. And I will wait for some Q&A. Okay, that was a long one. Let's see. Take a look at some questions here. What ethical concerns should law firms be aware of when using AI in marketing? I'm not too sure about local bar rules in AI. That's something I will for sure get into more this year. But a lot of these models were trained on copyrighted work, which probably includes things like journals, ALRs, other copyrighted material. And we're seeing some big copyright lawsuits. New York Times has sued OpenAI already, and there's more coming down the road. And they're likely going to need to be settled one way or the other. So if anything, that would be my biggest ethical quandary, is how the models are actually trained. But if you're talking about like human versus machine, in content production, at least, the best way to utilize AI is as a collaborator. You never want to let it do anything unsupervised. It's probably way better at like grammar rules and just general English stuff than somebody that you may find from a distant land on like Fiverr. But it will also credibly position information as fact when the information is not accurate. So it's definitely, like caveat emptor, you got to make sure that you stay on top of it. But in terms of the ethical side of actually using it to produce content or other marketing materials, I don't think it's that big a deal. We have one more question, which is good because we're just about out of time here. How do we stand out in Google's local pack when every competitor has good reviews? That's a great question with an easy answer. Rank number one, rank higher. That's all you can do. If everybody else looks the same, you have to stand out. And the best way to do that is to be at the top of the pile. In order to do that, you want to ensure that your Google business profile is optimized for everything other than reviews. That includes adding like current photos, visual aids. They could show up in search results a lot of the time, and looking good there can help you out. Update Google posts. That's a thing that you can do there. You can share your blog content or little excerpts about the front news that people can see. Always make sure that you show up in local directories, especially those that highlight lawyers. I realize that some of those are paid, but it's cost of doing business sometimes. And I guess the last piece of advice is build your local profile. Do some good old-fashioned PR in the community. Look for those micro influencers, and hopefully that gets you where you need to go. All right, I want to thank you all for sticking around for the whole hour. Reminder that we will be sending out a link to the video, and Jordan posted the deck in the handouts section if you guys want to grab that. Thanks again. If you have any questions about digital marketing and how an agency can help you, we can be reached at JurisPage.io. And have a great one. Appreciate it.